I do not need to tell you that this cat is a Persian. With that luxurious coat and flat-faced profile, they are super distinctive, hugely popular, and a symbol of the not always ethical power of human selection. But what about this one? This is a Persian from over 100 years ago. So what happened between here and here? I'm going to show you how I drew this little guy and bring to you the unexpected history of this iconic and controversial breed. Okay, so to start, I am going to lay in some of these darker values under the chin, around the eyes, and right here in the forehead. Persians are among the oldest pedigreed cats, traceable all the way back to the very first cat show in 1871, organized by Harrison Weir, the father of the cat fancy, which is an adorable title, at the Crystal Palace in London. Since the Persian was established as a breed by then, what about their origins before 1871? Turns out Persian cats have been the talk of the town as far back as 1620. The Italian composer and writer Pietro della Valle was visiting the Khorasan region in modern-day Iran, then called Persia, when he wrote about a very beautiful species of cats. He said their beauty is in their coats, which is gray without any speckles and without any spots. He said they had a light underside that was not white, but a very agreeable shade of brown. Cat coat color nerds, do you know what he is describing? Does this still exist? I would love to know. A quick sidebar, he also said, we estimate them to be of high value. However, they mean nothing to the people of Khorasan. I'm inclined to bring them to Rome and populate Italy with this breed, which I thought was funny. It's like, these people don't even know what they have. I'm taking these kitties home where they'll be appreciated. I just thought that was so funny. With Persians, the fur is such a big deal. Almost a bigger deal than the actual head type. So for this, I'm going to blend this all out and make it very soft, because anyone who owns one of these Persian cats will tell you that their fur is just another level of luxurious and soft. So I'm going to try and see if I can get that to come through in the drawing. These fluffy divas would make their way all throughout Europe and the UK over the next 200 years. In 1815, a certain Lord Elphinstone described the cats in Kabul, Afghanistan. He said the cats must be noticed, at least the long-haired species everywhere called Persian cats, though they are not numerous in the country for which they are named. And the general consensus seems to be that the Persians of this era were mostly exported from Afghanistan and not Persia, so their name is mostly branding or marketing. Even back then, these cats could fetch a high price, and the exotic name was part of that status. However, a study published in 2009 confirmed that the modern Persian we know today is not descended from Afghan stock or any kind of Near East cat at all, instead being part of the Western European group of cat breeds. Here's a phylogenetic tree so you can see. These silky-coated cats that got exported all around the world carried the familiar name of Persian, but they did not have this familiar head style and did not look like this cat that we're drawing here. They looked more like this lovely lady. This is Zaida, a very famous and repeat champion born in 1895. She was a very big deal, and she won like all the awards. Isn't she gorgeous? I'll take 20, please. Thank you. So you can see the huge difference between Zaida and this modern guy here. At this time, the Persians were very similar to the Angora, having been crossed with them pretty heavily. So for the next few decades, breeders took care to differentiate the Persian from the Angora. In 1909, Dorothy Bevel Champion released a book called Everybody's Cat Book, which is a very cute title, and in this book she wrote that Angora and Persian bloodlines had indeed been mixed, and she also talked about the more rounded head of the Persian versus the more wedge-shaped head of the Angora. So we are seeing this defining feature, that rounded head, emerging here in the early 1900s. But what about that smushed-in brachycephalic face situation we see in the modern Persians? By the way, this extreme look is called ultra type. So how did that happen? Well, in 1912, a cat called Raja Mac was born with a specific facial mutation found only in red and red tabbies. He is widely considered the first ultra-type cat. He had a short face and a bulldog-like expression that was called peak-faced because of its resemblance to the Pekingese dog breed. And this was considered extreme at the time. Isn't that interesting? He is so unique looking. I think he is adorable. Pretty moderate next to the one that we're drawing, isn't he? Raja Mac became one of the most influential cats to this peak-faced Persian line to the extent that his lineage was referred to as the Raja Mac strain. This extreme or ultra-type head and face actually became established as its own breed, the peak-faced Persian, and it was separate from the traditional Persian breed, which had the more Zaida look at this time. From what I understand, modern ultra-type Persians do not have the same facial mutation as the peak-faced Persian breed. They look similar, but are not the same. Now, I'm not sure how big of a deal that is, if it's as significant as it sounds, because around this time in the early 1900s, the different color Persians, each color was treated as if it were a separate breed. And this is coming from the Cat Fanciers Association website. Each color was treated as if it were a separate breed. So the peak-faced Persian being its own breed might not be as significant as it sounds, but it does sound to me as though they are genetically distinct and they have a different mutation and a different head shape. They have like a totally different morphology to their head. So, I don't know. The peak-faced Persian was categorized as its own separate breed from the early 1900s, but they gradually declined over the next century, partially due to the many health conditions these cats developed as a consequence of this extreme head style. Even good specimens had running eyes, trouble eating and breathing. The kittens had difficulty suckling, they had deformities to their eyes and their jaws, as well as kidney and skeletal problems, among many more issues. Over time, fewer and fewer animals were registered, and the Cat Fanciers Association removed the peak-faced Persian as a category in 2003. Now, as this decline was taking place in the peak-faced Persian, the regular Persian breeders thought to themselves, hey, we actually really like this look, and we don't want it to go away. So why don't we selectively breed Persians to emulate that peak-faced mutation, and that'll be our contribution to the Persian breed. And that's what they did. They selected cats for shorter faces and higher noses, so the Persian cat started to look an awful lot like those peak-faced cats that no longer exist. Are they literal copycats? So you're telling me that the Persian cat look was copied from a mutant? I'm kidding around. I know mutations are like present all over the place, but technically, isn't that true? The mutant became the ideal, and the Persian looks like this now. The term peak-faced continues to be used to describe the ultra-type Persian cats even today, even though, again, they do not carry that specific mutation. And although the extreme types still tend to do well at prestigious cat shows, there are definitely Persian breeders prioritizing health and selecting for more moderate featured animals, keeping the round head and the round eyes, but the muzzle is not smushed back between the eyes. In fact, the UK added a rule to their breed standard that says the top of the nose leather cannot be higher than the lower eyelid. So this cutie we're drawing here would at least lose points, maybe even be disqualified in the UK. Of course, there was a lot more that happened to get to where we're at now, and I've linked some references so you can go check it all out and read about it. So which breed should I draw next? Follow for more animal art and animal history.